Hey, welcome. This is episode 372 of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have Mr. Brian Margolis, author of the Index Card Business Plan for Sales Pros and Entrepreneurs. How to use the pillar system to simplify your strategy and magnify your results. But the previous episode was with Mr. David Newman. What a good guy. We got into making more money as a speaker, how to land on stages, how to amplify your message. David was introduced to me by Tom Poland. I've had him on the podcast. He was one of my first when I changed the model. Over a year ago. He sent me his books. I've promoted for him on a webinar. He's helped me do the same. I'll be promoting for David in early May. So stay tuned for that. Be on the lookout. If you subscribe to this through my website, then you're on my mailing list. You'll get notified of that. But he's just a down-to-earth, really good dude. So be sure to check out David Newman's interview. After this is 373, Jonathan Edwards. We're Facebook friends, but, I'm friends with almost 5,000 people, although I literally every day remove people. If I haven't interacted with somebody, I'm just removing people. I don't need 5,000 friends. I'd rather 500 that I'm really close to and really truly know and have met. But Jonathan's someone we've been connected, and I finally really looked at his profile, and the guy's a doggone Olympian athlete, and competed in the two-man luge. And as I dug into his story, it was just, I'm like, man. Those acres of diamonds, right? That story. I'm just sitting on a gold mine of great people in my circle, and if I can just reduce the noise and focus, man, they're just right there. So Jonathan's coming up in the next episode, and it's funny. I'm batching a lot of these interviews, and I usually do, but I'm getting even better at it. I'm speaking in Jacksonville at a conference at the end of April, early May. Actually, I fly out on April 30th. I speak May 2nd. I do a 3-part breakout session on, Friday, May 3rd. So I'm trying to catch up, and I've got a lot of great people. So as you notice, I was doing 2 podcasts one week, one the next, so getting up to like 6 in a month. But man, I just compressed it. I'm doing 2 a week right now for a couple of months. Just got a lot of good people I've run across. I've kind of streamlined the system here. But as I get better at batching these, I'm seeing a trend. And it's so funny. You've heard me talk about simplifying things, how I've taken the Make Every Sale program and the 30-day sales growth. I've merged it into just one. Still in the middle of doing it because as I pull things over, I don't just cut and paste. I'm updating. The 30-day sales growth was first done in 2013. So it was 5.5 years old. Now, the principles are timeless, right? I'm literally using the same processes when I learned them in 2006. But the links and some of the examples, I'm trying to just update them so it's just a little more relevant. And then, of course, in 6 years, things have changed, how we involve and interact on social media and, Facebook buying Instagram. There's always things changing. So I'm updating it, but I'm creating new content as well. I'm trying to keep the group updated. I did, a Facebook Live to talk about a current topic that's relevant right now. So those are the kind of things you get in the 30-day sales growth program. All of the content from Make Every Sale and then all of the content from the 30-day sales growth. But in an easier to consume fashion, I think. These units and groups on Facebook are just really convenient. We'll see how long it lasts. One day they may start charging. We shall see. But, I can get the content off of, I've been using Memberium, and I like those guys. I've had Micah on the podcast, really good guy. So nothing against the platform, but I'm running Memberium, LearnDash, and WordPress, paying for a server. That's not free. So even if Facebook were to charge a little bit for the group, I'd be fine to have the simplicity. So, I practice what I preach, and I share as much as I can on the podcast. I share even more in the group. If people ask me a question, I answer it. I want to help you grow your sales, streamline your business. And doing this type of simplification, I think, is key. So I appreciate what Brian brings to the table. He's just a really good guy. I told my wife as soon as we were done, I said, I'm going to have him back. And we kind of talk about that at the end. He brings that much value. His book is small. It's a short little book. And we do judge books by their cover. We judge books by their thickness. His book is 101, 102 pages. And we talk about his website. His website's super simple. And it was ironic because I was in the middle of simplifying my website. I'm simplifying everything so I can focus more on marketing, on engaging, on helping people. So I'm seeing that trend, right? I've had several folks on. David talked about it. Had John Crowley on, Knuckle Dragging Sales. He talked about, the de-evolution of the evolution of sales, just going backwards to move forwards. I've always talked about, I help humans sell to humans. And so we're seeing that. And I think you should embrace that as well. Start looking at what you can take away from your business. I heard they're talking about like when you're cleaning out your closet, don't just pick and choose what you want to get rid of. They said take everything out. And then with that big pile sitting there, then decide what should you put back in. Scary proposition, but that does work. I want you to do that with your business as well. Okay. Now, if hiring salespeople is a struggle for you, check out my sponsor, would you? Rainmakers. They've created a special link for listeners of the podcast. So thesaleswhisper.com/recruit. If you are a salesperson looking to get paid what you're worth, if you're looking to change jobs in a secure, confidential manner, if you are a hiring firm that hires salespeople and you don't want to pay the exorbitant, 30, 35, 40% even, fees of that the first year total targeted earnings, check this out. These guys, I've spoken with the owner, the founder. He's created a couple of other companies. He has a proven track record of launching good ideas. You as the company will bid on the candidates, which is really cool. And believe it or not, it's in your best interest to work it that way. Okay? Because again, you're not paying the crazy fees. But even if you were to pay the equivalent of what that might have been, you're going to do it much faster, and you're going to have better results with this process. But you're not going to get up there into that crazy fees. The process is streamlined. You as the sales rep, again, it's confidential. You can block who can see you. They only use business domains, business URLs for the email. So you know that your search is safe. But again, because of the way they do it with this bidding structure, you are introduced to the marketplace in batches, right? Every couple of weeks. So your name isn't just floating out there for like random passersby. Oh, I happen to be in the market and stumble across this person. These companies are waiting, right, for it to go live. It's like, when Apple announces their new iPhone, like, oh, it's available for order, at midnight, Friday. People are waiting at midnight. That's what the company's going to be doing, waiting, boom, jumping on that to get first dibs at the best talent. So everybody wins. All right, so check it out, thesaleswhisper.com/recruit. Sign up there. Candidates is free. Companies, it is a lot more affordable than what you've been doing traditionally. And we all know hiring salespeople is tough. Leading salespeople is tough. We had Sarah Worth on. I've got programs and offer consulting around helping you onboard these people, get them up to snuff, tighten things up. Because if you don't have great salespeople, you're going to have trouble growing your company. If you don't have great salespeople, you better have a great marketing firm and you better have a product that literally sells itself. Okay. And if you don't, if you're in B2B especially, you better have great salespeople. And Rainmakers will help you do that. So check it out. Okay. thesaleswhisper.com/recruit. Now let's bring on Brian. Brian Margolis, all the way from New Jersey, author of the Index Card Business Plan for Sales Pros and Entrepreneurs. Welcome to Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
I'm doing great, man. Yourself?
I'm good, but I'll ask all the questions here. Okay, don't be told.
Right.
You East Coaster, you want to shove things. That's because I'm from the South and I talk slow with an accent. You think you can just take over? Why you got to be like that?
We're trying.
All right, man. So how to use the pillar system to simplify your strategy and magnify your results. Look, man, don't you know anything? It's all about complexity now. I got to have
more
funnels and pipelines and CRMs and more funnels and tripwires going to $1 upsell, downsell, cross-sell, affiliates, referrals. And you're going to put this on a business card? What? Why should I have you on my show, man? Did I make a mistake?
You might have made a mistake, man. If your goal is to do a lot and to cross a lot of things off your to-do list, then I'm the wrong guy. If your job is, if you just want to earn a ton of money and produce a lot, then you're probably talking to the right guy. So that's a bold statement.
You mean being busy and frantic and tired isn't like the key to success? I thought I was supposed to hustle my face off, man. Come on.
Grind.
That's right. Hustle, grind. What the heck,
Badge of honor if you work from morning till night and all that kind of stuff. It's funny. Once you're on this side of the fence, though, it's hard to look back and do it any other way.
You know, I'm looking behind you on this video. You're in your parents' basement, aren't you? This doesn't really work, man. Are you in your pajamas still from like last?
It's my brother's basement. T-shirt, sweat hoodie, and you'd probably see shorts on me if I stood up.
Man, welcome to the club. Oh, am I that flexible? Oh, no, I'm not that flexible. You saw a knee there. There was a knee. You did see it. So it's, I got to work on stretching a little bit. So yeah, I love the simplicity. So, because yeah, I do. I'm in the middle of reinventing everything that I offer. Redesigning my homepage, 4 big buttons.
Right.
Redesigning my offers. So this is good timing.
It's interesting. If you actually look at my website, I get accused all the time from different social media people that want to work with me and different things about that my website's just too plain, because really there's just a banner. It says, here it is, sign up for my free report. And there's 4 basically buttons. If you're this person, click here. If you're this person, click here. Then they get mad at me because I'm not on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and I'm just not there yet. I focus on something till it's working, and then I move on.
Yeah, I'm
literally up for everyone.
I feel bad. I feel a little bit bad. I mean, I've strung along a couple of guys in the last week. Like one was like, "I'm gonna do this LinkedIn marketing for you, guaranteed." Blah blah. I'm like, sounds interesting. All right, I'll do it, but I'm traveling. Let's catch up. And he's called, and I'm like, my little voice is saying, it's busy work. And this other guy I met at a conference, nice guy, competent, and we're gonna do this, build a membership site, and this low dollar offer, get them in, then upsell. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. And my little voice, like it seems too complex. It seems like there's too many moving pieces and parts. It seems like it takes too long.
Right.
It's not.
And here's the thing, Wes. I think everyone in this situation is actually right, which kind of sounds funny, right? Which is, it always sounds great from the front of the room when you espouse these absolutes, like, oh, this is the way to do it, or cold calling doesn't work, or social selling is the only way, or you have to do an upsell first, a trigger event, or no, you should only have one product. And the reality is I've seen, and so have you, successful people do it all those ways, right? I think where we lose people is when they have multiple streams kind of no income, right? Or little income and when I say income, that could mean generating leads or whatever the product is, or excuse me, the end result is. But you have people who kind of have a LinkedIn presence and kind of have a YouTube presence and kind of do cold calling and kind of do this. And we said offline, I said, I'm just getting started with LinkedIn, but I find that at least the people I work with and myself, we get a lot more out of focusing on a lot less. And it's not that you can't make LinkedIn work or YouTube or all these other systems or trigger events or, email lists and all that stuff. It's just the goal of a strategy, and we can talk about this, is not to cross everything off your to-do list and not to be everything to everyone. It's to get a result. And so, I work with guys who are individual sales reps who are now 7-figure earners. I mean, that's no joke when you get a W-2 and you're a 7-figure earner. And their business plan, their strategy fits on an index card. They basically have 5 things they need to do every week. And as long as they do those 5 things, everything else takes care of itself. And so that's, I was patient 0. I figured it out for myself, and now I help other people. Oh, believe me, I wasn't born this way. I'm a normal human being. I was a mess. I used to work morning till night and all that stuff. So,
well, and I've always said, you got to be a product of the product, So I did the same thing. I was patient 0, the stuff I'm doing. And I love what you're talking about, because you hear people say, what are your priorities?
I got my index card up for you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. And I just started taking this little journal, and I don't even know where I got the idea. I had it. I've had this book. I've had this one book here. My first entry. Where's the date? 10/7/15.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this to be a journal. So almost 4 years, 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the weekly challenge, inspirational quote. I'm grateful for 3 things. What would make today great? Daily affirmations. 3 amazing things that happen a day. How could I have made today better? So I have had this sitting there for 3.5 years. I'm like, all right, I'm going to start filling this damn thing out. So it's a little more detailed than what you have, but at least it's written down, and, the clarity, it's like, those like priorities, right? You can only have one priority.
Right. By definition, right?
By definition, right? And of course, you can have a few things. Maybe it's one priority for different, one for business, one for health, one for spiritual, whatever. But in each of those, priorities, what comes before the next? So people have 37 priorities, so you might as well have none, right?
Well, I think the trap that I found working with the companies I work with and the clients I work with, and it's a pretty wide range. I mean, they're all in sales at some level, a lot of salespeople. But here's the thing, even the entrepreneurs I work with, they're salespeople. I mean, I don't care. You can call them this or you can call them that. They're all trying to do the same thing for the most part. The trap that they fall into is that they have had a certain level of success just winging it. Meaning,
right.
Listen, here's the reality. You can grind your way to a pretty good living just through 2 factors, just through your skills and talent and your work ethic, right? You can. And the world's filled with these people who have kind of grinded their way to decent success doing that. What I espouse is that if you want to go next level, I don't think you can grind your way and just wing your way with your skills and talent to that upper echelon. At a certain point, you need a strategy, right? You need to be taking that minimal focus you have every day, and that's why I refer to it as focus management, and you need to be putting it in the right place. And sometimes I get backlash from people who say, well, I've never had a strategy, I've never planned my day, and I've done pretty well. And I don't disagree with them. But if you want to go next level, if you want to be a 7-figure earner, if you want to, have a company that produces a ridiculous amount of income, or you've got to be strategic. You've got to simplify things and you have to focus. And so, that's who I attract, is those people who want to pull that third lever.
Do people push back and say, why should I pay you to do something so simple?
Well, here's the thing. I don't do anything simple. The result is simple. Getting to simplicity is not actually easy. That's the funny part about this. So in other words, the assumption I hear a lot from sales managers is that, Brian, listen, my guys know what the right things to do are. They just don't do them consistently, right? They know what they're supposed to be doing, Brian. They're just not doing them consistently. And I push back on that and say, no, They actually don't know what the right things to do are in most cases. And here's what I mean. If you ask any sales pro that's struggling or someone who wants to do better than they're currently doing, say, hey, what do you need to do to go next level? Or what do you need to do to hit that goal you have for this year? And when you hear the answers, you hear these words that have no agreed upon definitions. You hear things like, I just need to focus more on getting in front of the right people. Okay, that's great. How do you know when you're done focusing more on getting in front of the right people every week? Right? It's I need to optimize for, I need to double down on. And so what we do with the system that's in the book, this pillar system, is we reverse engineer those statements, which, by the way, aren't actually things to do. They're just goals, right? Getting in front of more of the right people is a goal. It's not a thing to do. And so we reverse engineer down to the action that you actually control and that you can measure. And so the end result looks very simple. It's 5 or 6 things on an index card. But to get to that simplicity, not so easy. And so that's what the process that I try to help people with is, how do you get to those 5 or 6 things that you need to focus on every week?
Yeah, I've always told sales managers, you manage activity and pay on results. But they don't know what activities to manage them on because they haven't had this, right? They just hustled. What'd you say? Put up here, skills and talents and work ethic. So they became number 1 and then they got promoted.
Right.
And now they're screaming and yelling at their people. When I had your territory, I doubled sales 87 years in a row. That's why I'm the boss. Like, okay, how'd you do that? Well, I hustled and grinded,
right.
and
Well, I love this saying, just because you're a bird doesn't mean you're an ornithologist, right? And the reality is.
What, is that a New Jersey thing, man? Hold on.
I used to be a research scientist in a past life, so be careful. Sorry about the big words, but an ornithologist is someone who studies birds.
Golly, now Google okay, I'll do it later.
You do it later. Just trust me on this one. But no, but the reality is you can be a great salesperson and have had success, but not necessarily know how you did it or help others do it. It's a different skill set being a manager and being a salesperson. And so what I talk to managers about is, look, when you don't know what they're doing week to week, I know they're pushing back how they have their secret system and, don't worry about it. And that's not for me. And I'm different and all that kind of stuff. The reality is when the only data points you have are meeting counts and results and I'm talking about as a manager, there's a big blind spot in there, and so it's hard to manage to that kind of blind spot. And so when a sales rep develops their pillars or their week-to-week strategy that I talk about, it helps management too, because you can actually manage to those activities, right? Not just metrics, make 50 calls and things like that. And I'll give you a great example. Listen, your blogs, I was telling you earlier, I started diving into your book. There's no shortage of great sales training out there, right? There's a lot of great sales training, a lot of great sales trainers. Any skill you want to learn, let's be honest, you can learn at this point. I mean, it's out there. Here's the key, though, to getting better. It's not spending time getting better. It's choosing the right skill to learn. Meaning, if you're going to focus a certain amount of hours every week to getting better at something, well, before you even take your first step, you better figure out, if I get better at this, the return on investment is that, right? So, for example, if you're the kind of guy or salesperson, if you're an 8 out of 10 in a meeting, right? You're great at, at building the relationships, at getting the sale, at closing the sale, you can do all the in-meeting stuff. And you're an 8, but you're having trouble putting enough qualified prospects into the pipeline to turn into meetings. Well, it's not going to hurt you to get better at in-meeting stuff, right? It's not going to hurt you to get better at closing the sale. It's not going to hurt you to get better at, but let's be honest, the return on investment going from an 8 to a 9 is not as significant as the return on investment going from a 3 to a 6 in terms of filling your pipeline, right?
Right.
And so you want to make sure not just you're not getting better, but you're choosing the right things to get better at. And I think, again, we talk about priorities and simplifying. Look, grab me a salesperson, and I bet you there's one skill that if they focused on getting better at that currently, that one skill would have a much bigger impact than just jumping from blog to blog, from training to training, and just getting better overall. And so again, this is part of really simplifying and prioritizing.
You mean me spending 18 hours last week learning how to crop my picture and put my logo on my LinkedIn profile? That wasn't a good skill. I shouldn't have spent that much time on that.
Well, you probably just got done reading someone's blog on how your LinkedIn profile is, right? That was the last thing you read, and so that's what you started doing.
They gave me the hexadecimal code on what the background color should be. I mean, I feel like that's important.
It's very important. It's very important if you're a graphic artist.
Okay.
And again, like I said, I get accused all the time on my not accused, but I've heard many people say your website is, very unprofessional. It's very plain. It doesn't give you the credibility you should have. And I said, look, do you know what the purpose of my website is? And they instantly go, no. I say, okay, great. For me personally, I only have one reason for my website. And that is if people are looking for information, they can get it. And the secondary one is if someone's interested in learning more, I capture their information. Mm-hmm. I said, my website is not those are the two reasons I have a website. And so if that changes, I'll change my website.
Right. So your website is Productivity Giant. Mm-hmm. As a salesperson, I don't know that I would type in a word, how to be more productive, right? Mm-hmm. So what led you to that? And have you had a hard time like having people find you, because it's a unique phrase that I don't necessarily associate with sales training or entrepreneurship.
Again, right. No, that's a good point. But again, you have to go reverse and say, what are my goals? What am I trying to do? And so when I first started, I've been an entrepreneur for the past 2 decades. I've always worked for myself. It was only when I sold a business, got rid of one in 2013, that I started helping others. It wasn't something I was planning on doing. And so I started working with entrepreneurs because those are the other people I knew, which turned into salespeople, which turned into a number of other things. But I actually don't generate at this point in the game very much inbound business. And this is a great example of what we're talking about, focusing on a few things. Most of my business has come from 2 ways. From cold emailing campaigns, right? One of the skills I work on is direct response copywriting all the time. So I've generated all of my cold leads for the most part through email marketing, locating someone, seeing if they're a good fit, sending them an email, taking that email, converting them to a phone conversation, getting on the phone, and, giving my value, and hopefully they hire me. Now, that works over and over and over again. And so for me, then once I'm inside of an organization, I usually go bottom up. And there's a reason I'm telling you this. I usually go bottom up, and then we get results for people. And by getting results, management starts asking what's going on. And that's how I get in with organizations. So for me, I've never focused, and I'm not saying this isn't valuable, but this is a great example. I've never focused.
Brian, can you, for some reason, the volume's going in and out. I don't know if it's from you moving or.
All right. Let me just move that.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So for some reason, I've always gone in, bottom up, and then I've gotten results for people.
So like, will you just go after a salesperson or a sales manager?
Usually I start with salespeople and entrepreneurs because my MO has always been get someone results. And then when I get them results, let's use that as a case study and talk to the management, talk to the company.
Sure.
I've built up enough success stories at this point that I've now started going after management. Okay. I've started doing that. So for me, could I get better at SEO? Like you said, yes. Could I get better at organic traffic? Yes. But for me right now, that's not worth the investment. Now that's going to be changing soon. As I move, I talked to your buddy, Max Trailer. And as I'm moving to productizing what I do, that's going to be a lot more important. That's going to be a lot more important. But I believe me, I've gone down that road where I spend 3 days working on my SEO, and then I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Right. What am I doing? I need to focus on
that's
what I do.
Yeah. And I'm in various groups, try to answer questions for people and help. And I just see it all the time. There's this one guy this weekend. I mean, I felt so bad. He's like, hey, I've started this business, and, he's asking about like websites and funnels, and people are giving all this advice and so much advice. Right. And all I could do, but I was tired just reading the thing. And I found one guy that gave good advice, and I was like, yeah, listen to this guy.
Yeah.
They're so busy, and SEO is great. And I created a lot of inbound. I mean, I grew my business.
Right. But you probably did that intentionally.
Yeah. But I truly started my business by cold calling in 2007 and inviting people to a workshop in person. Before I had a website, before I had a merchant account, before I could take credit cards, people would mail me a check, or they would bring cash or a check to the event.
Right.
Then I built a website. Then I learned SEO, but I was calling in the meantime. I was prospecting while I was building this other stuff. And it's like people, they think there's this magic pill. If I get a Wix website and a nice logo with a good color palette and a $1 offer, people are just going to flood me, and I'll be buying a Rolls Royce by the end of the year. I'm like, no, you're going to be applying for another job in 3 months.
I'm a big fan of what Perry Marshall says, which is you rarely have a traffic problem. You usually have a conversion problem.
I tell people that all the time.
Okay. And so I work backwards, and maybe this is the former scientist in me, but I always have been about just getting people on the phone. And again, my stuff is higher ticket, right? But I've always been, I think, lifetime value of a customer, because I know when I get a client, I feel pretty confident I'm going to get them results, which gets me in referrals. It gets me in with the companies. And a lot of the companies at this point have actually bought my content off me. So they've licensed the content from me, which is a high ticket item. So here I have something that works. And so I'm very focused on that. Now, one thing I'm doing with my pillars, and I think this is important with my personal index card, is while I'm keeping food on the table, doing what I do, getting results for people, getting in with companies, licensing them my content, I have a pillar every week where I focus a few hours on building my product. So eventually I'm going to have a do-it-yourself course, and that's going to free up some of my time. But I'm uber focused on these 5 or 6 things that I do every week. And as long as I do them, as long as I hit my pillars and all my clients feel the same way, everything else takes care of itself. And do things fall through the cracks? All the time. And are there things I don't get done? All the time. But what I like about this strategy is that, again, it's designed to get results. It's not designed to cross everything off a list. Yeah. And so you know it, and everyone listening to this knows it. There's a few things you do every week that drive most of your results. And so if you can reverse engineer that, figure out what those are and focus on those, and really simplify your strategy, you will actually produce more. I know it seems counterintuitive, but it's actually true.
Yeah.
So
you said, we're going back to, you said you do 2 things. One was cold emailing, and what was the other?
So I was saying I do cold emailing, and then the other way is once I have a client, I'm very good at turning that client into other clients and
I got you.
They work for.
Working up vertically through the company or getting referrals.
Yes, and I do that very intentionally, and here's how I do it. People say, how do you do it? I say, I go nuts to get my clients results. Mm-hmm. In other words, I never phone it in. People say, why don't you take on more clients? Because if you've ever coached one-on-one, it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of mental. And so it's I would rather get one or two or, less clients, a big result than I would 4 or 5 and just kind of say the same things over and over.
Right.
But, being completely selfish, there's value in that as well. When you get clients results, then it's hard they don't keep it quiet.
Right.
And so it's almost like the best form of marketing you can do.
Do you find like in that one-on-one coaching, is it imparting like a lot of new knowledge to them, or is it a lot of browbeating, like strip it away, stop doing that, slap, focus.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the latter. It's the latter. I mean, nobody should be paying me a lot of money to teach them things that they can read on in a book or read online.
It's on the Google.
Right. You can learn everything you want right. And so what I think they're paying for, and where I hope the value is that I'm giving them a process to work inside of, where, I mean, the reality is we're all overwhelmed if we're not careful. If you don't have clarity, you're overwhelmed. And so I work to, it's interesting you said this, but I strip a lot of stuff away. As a second set of eyes, I realize where they're spending their time, and just doing very simple things. Like, for example, we talked earlier about the learning pillar. If someone's listening to this right now, and I said, look, you have 2 hours a week, your boss is mandating that you learn a skill, 2 hours a week for the next year, that's going to be 100 concentrated hours, but you're only allowed to pick one skill, what would it be? If I asked them 5 times today, they'd probably give me 5 different answers depending on their mood, what just happened in the last half hour, right? Taking the time to figure that out, whether that's with me or on their own, what skill they should actually focus on, that has a pretty significant impact as to where they are a year from now. And so I think sometimes just grabbing someone and having them slow down is pretty significant, right? Getting them to ask questions, just ask really good questions.
Yeah.
But again, I put it in a process, so I hope even people who don't work with me can read the book or listen to audios or whatever it is and actually do this themselves in their own business.
Yeah. So in my mind, at a high level, it seems a little counterintuitive, because you are at first pass, right? Because you've got to peel this back, as you're doing one-on-one, so you have to charge more money. If you charge more money, then the salesperson has to be making more money. If a salesperson is making more money, you assume they're a successful salesperson and they wouldn't need any help.
Right.
But the reality is the successful salespeople are usually willing to invest more in themselves.
Oh, 100%. Right. But here's the other kind of client I get the most when it comes to individual sales reps. The most common client type I get is someone who is doing well, not top of the game, but doing well enough, but they're stuck. They just can't, they don't understand why there's guys in their company, ladies in their company who are putting out, who are getting these kind of results. And in their own mind, they're like, I'm smarter than that person. I work harder than that person. I contribute more than that person. People like me, this and that. And they can't understand what that gap is. And those are the kind of people who I tend to work well with, because 90% of the time, the gap is strategy. They have no actual week-to-week strategy. They literally go, busy. They solve everything by just trying to do more. And so those people I do extremely well with.
Yeah. I mean, in my training, I tell people, I show them my calendar as a screenshot, and I color code different things: fitness, personal, family time, faith, whatever, different colors. Right. And those are built in, those are cooked into the books.
Yeah.
Right. Tuesday at noon, and I got to leave at 11:30, noon till 1:30. So I block out until 2 because I got to get home and shower. Right. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, no gi. Right? We only do 1 day a week that's no gi. That is on. I will move the other days because I can go at noon or I can go in the evening. So, and those are already scheduled, but I can move those. But like that one is set. But I have these things and other things, games, family stuff. And I'm like, schedule your life first and then squeeze work in.
Yeah.
And people are like, it's like I brought fire to cavemen. Or like, I can do that. And I tell them, I say, look, you may have to look at your calendar 4 weeks, 6, 8, 10 weeks out to start to find some opening, because they're letting things just fill their time like repetitively. I'm like, once you start to squeeze that in, like I take 2 hours, 2.5 hours in the middle of the day to go train. And it blows their mind. I'm like, well, I can do it too.
Yeah, it's very common on my end to have that conversation. And here's the reality. I wasn't always like this. Like I said, I'm patient zero. The only reason I can do this, I think I was the worst at this. I was the biggest shiny object, go person in the world. It took me years and years to reverse engineer and figure this out. I never had any plans of teaching anyone this or coaching anyone. In fact, like you said, as an entrepreneur working one-on-one with someone, not the best business model in the world. It's just something I enjoy doing right now.
Right.
But like from 7, it says it in my book as well, but people who know me and they know religiously from 7 to 10 in the morning, they're not getting a scheduled call with me.
Right.
7 to 10 every morning for the rest of my life essentially is blocked out.
Right.
I can count on, but that's the easy part, blocking it out. The hard part, as you know, is protecting it.
Sticking to it.
Yeah. Is when a big client says, oh, next Monday at 9:30, and you go, you know what, that won't work. How's 10 o'clock?
Right.
Being willing to say, actually, that's not going to work. Can we do it on Thursday?
I just send them my calendar link. I don't see any time available. We'll go to the next week.
Right. Well, and again, the net, it's about opportunity cost, which opportunity cost is something that I think the average salesperson never considers unless they've run their own business, which is every time you say yes to something or do something that can't hurt your business, right? Or I might as well go to that conference because, I'll probably run into some people I know. And so well, there are a lot of things that will help your business. The problem is, at what cost, right? What are you not doing because you're saying yes to that? And I think in the world of sales, when you have never actually thought about net income or run a business, you don't think of your job as a business.
Right.
Man, you've got to think of your job as a business.
Yeah.
A good salesperson, every time they say yes to something, they're saying yes for a reason, not just, well, it can't hurt. I could meet that guy and something could happen. Right.
Yeah. I mean, people, I live an hour north of San Diego, and people are like, are you going to this conference? I'm like, nope, I'm not. I go, you live so close. I'm like, yeah, I do. But
well, I don't meet people for lunch.
Oh, hell no.
People ask me all the time. They're like, oh, it turns out you're local. Can we just meet for lunch? And I go, and it's, it's not me being a bad person, but when the cash register's open, I'm not spending 3 hours round trip to qualify a client and see if I can fit.
Yeah,
we can do it over the phone.
Or can they buy me lunch and pick my brain? I'm like, how about this? You pay me $2,500 and I'll buy you lunch.
Right.
You pick my brain all you want. Or like, well, no.
Yeah, but I think we all started out the other way. Let's be honest.
Sure,
we all started out the other way.
Yep.
And so look.
But hey, we all started out sucking our thumbs and wearing diapers too.
No doubt. Listen, this idea of simplifying is not anything new to anyone listening. They've heard this kind of stuff before.
Yep.
I just think what I'm hoping I've given to that group with the book and with the website is an actual process to ask a series of questions, run it through a certain set of criteria, and come out the other side and say, okay, now here's those 3, 4, 5, 6 things. As long as I do these week in and week out, everything else takes care of itself.
Yep. Well, man, you and I could go on for a few hours, and I think I'm going to have you back on the show. But,
love it.
Monday, speaking of strategy, Monday's my podcast day, and I got another one and actually I'm the guest on this one, so that's kind of
okay. You're going in reverse. Are you going to change your T-shirt for this one?
And hell no.
That was a trick question.
Hell no. So I got to be on in 1 minute and 40 seconds. So
all right, Wes.
Wrap this up. So your website is productivitygiant.com, right?
Yep.
And the book, and I link to it and get on Amazon, get on your website. It's the index card business plan for sales pros and entrepreneurs, how to use the pillar system to simplify your strategy and magnify your results. Correct?
Simplify your strategy, magnify your results. That's all you have to remember.
All right. So I will, I'm going to add some goodness in the post-production and make sure, we're linking to you. But I thank you for taking time to come on the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Where's my dang pause button? There it is. Where's my dang record button? Oh, there it is. All right. I decided to leave that in, a little bit of humor. See a little bit behind the scenes. Hey, I hope you got a lot out of that. Like always, I have links to all of the books that we mentioned, either during the discussion or if my guest has written a book. I link to it from the show notes on their episodes. It's an Amazon affiliate link. It pays me a few nickels. So if you do decide to get his book, and I recommend it, please consider going to the website, looking him up, Brian Margolis, and clicking on his link in that book. I love, just as we set the tone from the opening, right? Is your goal to do a lot or to earn a lot? There's so many people, they're just so busy, running around like nuts, and they wear it as a badge of honor, and it's crazy. The goal should be spending more time kicking your feet up, training jiu-jitsu, going to the gym, hanging out with your family, making s'mores, right? But people aren't doing that. So be careful who you follow. Be careful who you emulate. Everything you see, all that glitters is not gold is so true today, maybe more true than ever. So streamline, simplify. And, if your goal is to really get your hand in a bunch of things, then simplifying is the way to do that, because then you can have a process that's easy to follow. You can hire somebody, you can train them, they can run it. Then you just have to check in with them every now and then. But you're better off with a bunch of simple processes, a bunch of simple businesses, and a bunch of complex businesses. Oh, what about Elon Musk? Blah, blah, blah. Fine. 1 out of 7 billion people are Elon Musk. Everybody else, keep things simple. Is your goal truly to be a multi-billionaire and launch cars into Mars? Okay, fine. But most of you, and me included, are not in that category. But I bet even when Elon got started, he focused on that one thing, right? Focusing on PayPal, making that work, right? Like, why is it so hard to pay for something online? He fixed one thing and he made it simple. I think it's a hot mess now, but that's a topic for another discussion. Keep it simple, okay? As I mentioned on the last episode as well, I'm doing more speaking. When this episode goes live, I'll actually be getting on a plane the next day, flying out to Jacksonville to speak. If you're looking for a keynote speaker, please give me a shout. HireTheBestSpeaker.com. It'll take you to a landing page on my website. You can fill it out and we can talk. I customize my talks. This one is at TPC Sawgrass, so it's a golf theme. So I took one of my main topics and am modifying that for golf. For me, it will be a 80% new presentation. The content isn't, but the structure and the flow and the interaction is going to be quite unique. And so people, they don't go to my sessions and go, oh yeah, he says the same thing every single time. The core message is the same. Okay. I talk about simplifying. I talk about being a human. I talk about treating people with respect. I talk about the importance of scripts. I talk about the ABCDE system. I talk about the better prospecting system, BETR, bonding, empathy, trust, and rapport. All of that is in the Make Every Sale program. I talk about how to make any sale. You have to make every sale, and I give examples. But how I do it, all right, weaving in the golf themes and analogies. Even though I've used golf and sports analogies in the past, this is unique. So if you're looking for that type of customized but proven delivery at an affordable rate, if you listen to my past interview with David Newman, we talked about like what's the sweet spot in pricing, and I'm right in the middle of that sweet spot. Not a prima donna, not a diva. I'm not looking for brown M&Ms to be removed. Okay, nothing crazy like that. I do have some simple requirements, but if you're looking for a good speaker, trust me, I'm a good speaker. So let's talk about it, okay? HireTheBestSpeaker.com. And then if you want the group training, I'm eating my own dog food. I am simplifying things. I am consolidating Make Every Sale into the 30-day sales growth, merging those, putting it all on Facebook in a private group using units, which I've just discovered in a group that I'm in. And I've seen it before, but I haven't really dug in. The reason I dug in is because I invested real money to work with a guy. And when you invest real money, it has your attention. So I'm doing you a favor by charging real money for you to be in this group, and you're doing your customers and your business a favor when you charge real money for people to have access to you. But by paying real money, I focused and I started really digging in, and I liked how it was set up. And so I'm not afraid to change, right? Consolidating things off. One program was on Customer Hub, another was on Memberium, LearnDash, WordPress, and custom hosting, right? So and I hate all that. I hate doing all of that. Now, I love Customer Hub. Kyle Levitt, good dude. I've had stuff up there for almost 6 years. Micah Mitchell, love the dude. Memberium, solid guy, great support. David Bullock helped create it. So there's a need for things like this, right? Every business can't grow by putting all their stuff on Facebook. I get it. But for me and my structure and how I want to grow and keep things small, it's fantastic. So I'm putting it all in there, updating it, constant availability. You can hit me up. I got my iPhone with me. Unless I'm getting beat up in jiu-jitsu or on a client call, you have access to me. So join the group. It's still a one-time payment right now for all-time access. At the first of the year, I'm going to switch this to an annual membership. So save a lot of nickels now, okay? 30daysalesgrowth.com. And then finally, I mentioned it last time, but if you're looking for private consulting, private coaching, either one, right? Working with your business or just working one-on-one at private coaching, let's see if there's a fit. Go to the website, go to the Contact Us. It'll come to me. You'll get a link to my calendar. We'll talk. We'll see if there's a fit, okay? I don't work with too many private companies or individuals at a time. I like being home. I like training. So I do a lot remotely, okay? But if it's the right fit, I'll tell you. We'll go over payment options. If it's affordable, we'll get started, okay? As always, thanks for listening. Please share. Please subscribe. Give me a 5-star review. Let me know if you'd like me to cover a certain topic. Email me your questions. I'm happy to talk about those as we have time on the show. And other than that, go sell something.